Now, there are a truckload of juicy nuggets in Double Down, the new book about last year's presidential election by Mark Halperin and John Howlman, the authors of Game Change. We've been hearing about them and talking about them, and we will continue to do so, including tomorrow when we speak to one of the authors. But one of the most interesting subtexts of the book has not yet received much notice, and that is the motivations of the sources for the book, the folks in the Obama and Romney worlds who dished and dissed. When Mitt Romney was looking for a running mate, his top aide, Stuart Stevens, was bullish on Governor Chris Christie.
I had no conversations with Governor Romney about the vice presidency. We didn't talk about it. He didn't bring it up.
Romney, of course, ultimately went with Congressman Paul Ryan, but Romney continues to talk up the New Jersey governor, just yesterday saying this to meet the press.
I mean, there's a long list of very capable people, but Chris Christie stands out as one of the very strongest lights of the Republican Party.
But not everyone on the Romney campaign was so enamored, and stunningly, one Romney aide leaked to the authors of Double Down personal and private vetting information acquired while considering Christie for the #2 slot, including concerns regarding Christie's health. A shocking breach of protocol in what is supposed to be a very discreet process.
I have a great relationship with the Romneys and the campaign, and it's all just, trying to make sure they sell as many books as possible.
These are the kinds of details that those in the political world are most surprised by. Not whatever outstanding follow-up questions that the Romney vetters may have had about Christie, but the fact that they would serve up those concerns as dish. Perhaps even more surprising, the amount of leaks from SS Obama, ones that portray senior Democrats, including the president, in not such a favorable light. When Game Change, the author's first book, came out, lost in all the drama about the McCain-Palin campaign was the fact that Team Obama did not dish all that much. There was a game change for this second book. When it came to leaks, the White House was a veritable colander. President Obama is depicted struggling rather sadly with debate prep, as his advisors are described losing their patience with him. "I just don't know if I can do this," the president says at one point, according to the book. On ABC's This Week, George Stephanopoulos seems stunned that the president wasn't upset at the amount leaked about him by his trusted aides.
I can only imagine what he's thinking as he sees all these details in this book.
Well, look, we are not the first White House to deal with leaks. Every White House has dealt with it. I think we have been more leak-free than most, and where we find them, we try to stop them.
Is he angry about this?
The president is always frustrated about leaks. I think anyone who leaks has to pay a price. I don't know who leaked in that book.
Other senior Democrats embarrassed include Vice President Joe Biden. The book reveals that the Obama team explored with focus groups and polling replacing him with Hillary Clinton.
I know for a fact that President Obama never considered this, never thought about it, never entertained it.
In another scene, President Obama, after golfing with President Bill Clinton, sneers to an aide, "I like him in doses."